Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. Great to have you along today. It is 5:13 a.m. Saturday, April the 12th with a big blue mug of coffee. And I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. First off, thank you so much for your kind thoughts. I have been feeling sick all week. I'm feeling much better, so thank you for your comments on yesterday's video. Some of you, by the way, have sent me some super thanks, and I have not responded to you. Sometimes I get notifications, I click on them, I lose how to respond. Haven't figured it out yet, but I would like to thank you for that. I'm sorry for neglecting to do that. And if you could click on subscribe right there, I can make it to 25,000 subscribers. So now that we've got that out of the way, I hummed and hawed over how I was going to do this video this morning because there's something I saw posted. It was posted from yesterday. I'm not sure exactly when Mark Carney said this, but because all of his rallies look the same. Other than the people in behind him, generally there's a bunch of Canadian flags and him standing at a lectern. I saw something that made me gasp. And I don't know whether it made other people gasp. And I watched the video over and over again, and I thought, should I include this in today's video? And am I misinterpreting what he's saying here? Or is he sending out a subtle message to the people he wants to vote for him? And it is related to the topic today. So I'm going to do it, and I'd like you to comment below what you think and tell me if I'm off base here. So stay tuned. It's going to be number 5. I'm going to go through the first 4 things today on my list of why I think Mark Carney is taking a bit of a break right now. So the first 4 things are going to go through real quick. So I've written them down here. Carney's taking a bit of time off right now. Lots of hyperbolic videos online. He's giving up, the election's over, whatnot. I hate when people do that, particularly when it's good people online who don't need to use that as clickbait. I understand why they do it. The better the title, the more people click on your video. I understand why they do that. But let's talk about him taking off some time in the middle of this election. I think this is his 3rd break. I think he's taking 3 days off. So the 5th one is the most important one. I'll get to it last. So number 1, trying to figure out what to do. Poilievre is picking up in the polls right now. So a strategy with his team, Gerald Butts, Katie Telford, all the people around him. How do we turn things around right now? So that's number 1. 2, he's getting uncomfortable with all these questions about China. He's running away from these questions. So he may be devising some type of plan on how to handle this situation. Maybe he comes out and he gets ahead of the story and he tells us exactly how he's invested in China so he can get that behind him. You know, it's always the cover-up that's worse than the crime. And he could have done this with Brookfield to New York, Cayman Islands, the Ghislaine Maxwell issue. Instead, this stuff has been festering. He should have got in front of those things. So maybe that's what he's doing as well. Now, number 3, he's trying to figure out how to react to Pure Policy's latest, Pure Policy, we could call him that. Freudian slip there. He's trying to figure out how to react to Pure Poilievre's latest policy release because he seems to steal from Poilievre. But his ideas are worse than Poilievre's, okay? It's more socialist. And the other thing is, I wonder if he ever expected the relentless focus of Pierre Poilievre. This guy never stops. I've been following him since I went to see him at Spruce Meadows here in Calgary when he was running for the leadership of the party. He never stops. He's been going for years. He's like the Energizer Bunny. It's hard work being a politician. I did a video on this not too long ago on why Poilievre is better suited to be the prime minister because he's a politician. Carney has no experience doing this. I spent 5 hours in a car with a politician in Ontario one time on a Friday night, and I never spoke a word to him because he was constantly working. 24 hours a day, they work. Poilievre's been doing this for 21 years. I don't think Carney has any idea what he's in for here. It's that hard of a job to do. I mean, I watched the Jordan Peterson interview, and I just gasped when I heard him say this.
I asked my assistant today how many events we had done over the last year, and he said it was exactly 600. I mean, a few weeks ago it was 570 something.
I remember hearing him say that to Peterson and thinking his wife must be a freaking saint. How does he have any time to have a family? And people say that Mark Carney's better suited for the job because he was a businessman. And then they say something like, Poilievre's never had a job in his life. Well, folks, being a politician is a job, and it's a hard one. I don't think Carney can keep up with him. So let's move along to number 5. I'm going to show you this video I referred to at the beginning in just a moment. Number 5 is the most important one, and this is the number one reason why he's taking time off. He needs to ramp up the fear about Donald Trump because it's starting to subside, and that's what the Liberals and Carney are running on. So he walks out yesterday and he tries to ramp up the fear once again.
Had a good, long discussion on several aspects. The first is the general situation. In the last week, there have been a lot of developments in terms of U.S. tariff policy, reactions from others, including China, a really marked tightening in financial conditions, a slowing, the initial signs of slowing in the global economy, impacts that we're starting to see unfortunately, in the Canadian economy, particularly in the Canadian labor market. We reviewed our response to those tariffs, our core strategy of to fight, to protect, and to build. We left instructions for officials to ensure that the next government, whichever government Canadians choose, will be in the best possible position for negotiations with the United States, which, as the President and I have agreed, will begin from the start of May.
So he has to take a break to look prime ministerial, to leave instructions for the next government. This man has no mandate. This makes me sick. What a rinky-dinky country we live in to allow a man like this, never been elected to anything, to be in a situation like this. How do we allow this to happen? But I digress. Jesus Christ. So he's got to ramp up the fear. Michael Higgins with an article just yesterday, Carney's new Project Fear is to scare Canadians into voting for him. Well, first off, yeah, he's got a Project Fear, but there's nothing new about this, Michael. This has been going on since the beginning. That's why they've allowed this to continue. This issue started last November. We've been down this road before, but for God's sakes, this is why the media sucks in this country. Liberal leader pauses his campaign over tariffs, conveniently escaping unpleasant questions. Well, at least he got that right. God, it's so frustrating. So this next video is related to this. It's not related to the pause, but it's related to what you just saw, ramping up the fear of Donald Trump. But this is more insidious, and that's what I thought when I saw this video. And I want you to look at this through that lens. He's talking about censorship here. I saw this connected to this right here off of X from Ryan Garrettson. Follow Ryan, great. Mark Carney will determine what Canadians can or can't see online. I'm so tired of these people. And the people who responded to him quite rightfully talked about censorship, and that's what he's talking about here. But there's something that made me gasp in this. And I thought, oh my God, this is part of the Project Fear. But it's not just Donald Trump. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds long. I'm going to play it in its entirety. Just watch it.
We announced a series of measures on crime. And we announced a series of measures with respect to online harm and other factors. And one of the observations we had, one of the issues we're dealing with, there's many serious issues that we're dealing with respect to crimes of violence, conjugal violence, drugs, fentanyl, others. But one of them is with respect to really just the sea of misogyny, anti-Semitism, hatred, conspiracy theories, this sort of pollution that's online that washes over our virtual borders from the United States. And that's a mild version of that. That's fine. I can take the conspiracy theory and all that. But the more serious things is when it affects how people behave in our society. When Canadians are threatened going to their community centers or their places of worship or their schools, or God forbid, when it affects our children. So we, my government, if we are elected, will be taking action on those American giants that come across.
Did you catch it? It's the first thing I saw when I watched this clip this morning. And of course I thought censorship, but he says, and I wrote it down, the sea of misogyny, anti-Semitism, hatred, conspiracy theories, the sort of pollution that's online and washes over our virtual borders from the United States. He's not talking about Donald Trump in this clip. He's talking about the American people. Because if there's misogyny, anti-Semitism, hatred, and conspiracy theories, there's somebody behind that, and that's an American citizen. Is he ginning up hatred against American citizens now? I don't know whether this is part of his regular stump speech. And again, I don't know when he said this, but I'm assuming it was earlier this week. And not only that, Canadians are threatened going to their community centers or their places of worship or schools, or God forbid, it's affecting our children. The American people are now affecting our children, and Canadians are threatened by those American people. Is this where he's going now? Because he can't come out next week with another break to do another little speech like he did yesterday to gin up more hatred against Donald Trump unless Trump says something or does something. So is this what he's going to do now? This is disgraceful. That's what I thought when I saw this. What do you think? And again, he says, my government, if we're elected, will be taking action on I think he says at the end, on those American giants is coming from. It kind of trails off at the end there. But the American giants would be the social media companies. I thought he's talking about Americans being a social media disease. That's what I thought. Let me know what you think. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. Almost at 25,000 subscribers. I'll see you in the next one.